Okay, now what we're going to do is set up our site so that we can access it through the internet. To do that, what we're going to have to do is set up port forwarding. Okay, so you're going to have to log into your router. Okay, and then you need to go to where port forwarding is. In this particular router, a Cisco DCP 3825, you go into applications and gaming, and you're probably going to find this in a lot of routers. And then we want to go to port range forwarding. You may see something that says port forwarding as well. Now what you need to do is the external port where things come in is port 80. So you want 80 to 80. The IP of your computer goes here. Okay, and then we want to route that to port 81 to 81, both directions, and enable. Now before I hit that, you need to know the IP address of the machine that is your server, which is the machine you did all this on. Okay, so we're going to go do that. And while we're at it, we need to set this to a static IP address because your router will assign your computer different IP addresses all the time. So you need to make sure you set that. So before I actually set this up, let's go and do that. Okay, so control panel, network and internet, and then we want to go to network and sharing center. And then we want to go to change adapter settings. Here you need to find the adapter that you're using. In this case, this is where I'm connected over Wi-Fi. So we're going to go down here to status. Okay, and this will tell you what your current IP address is. You just go into details. Okay, and then I'm seeing that 192.168.0.197 is correct. So that's what I need in the port forwarding. Now to set this, what you want to do to set a static one, you want to go into here, and now you want to go into properties. And then you want to roll down until you see this one, Internet Protocol version 4 TCP IP v4. Go to properties. Now normally it says obtain an IP address automatically. What you want to do is click on this one, use the following IP address. Now you want to put your default gateway to the same address that your router's on. So when you log into your router, you probably do 198.168.0 or .1.1. So that goes in here. And then the first three digits of this need to be the same as the first three digits of this. So 192.168.0 and then the IP address you want. So choose one up high somewhere like this, and your mask needs to be 255, 255, 255, 0, and it'll probably fill that out by itself when you get your default gateway in here. And then down here, you need to click this one. Use the following DNS server address, 88888844. Those are the Google values, and that's it. Well, once you click OK and you're out of here, it's going to run a diagnostic, a troubleshooter, and then just making sure that you have a connection. Okay, so that gives you a static IP address. And that's what needs to go in here. Okay, so I've enabled that. Ignore all these other ones. That's from other stuff I was doing. Okay, so here we go. We have port 80 external coming into port 81 internal. All right, let's go down here and save settings. So now you're going to access your website by using your IP address and slash and then blog would be how I get to this one. So I need to know my IP address. To do that, you can just type in what's my IP address in your search bar. Okay, so it shows me mine here. So all I got to do is grab this, copy. Now I paste this into the web browser bar. And if I just leave it like that, it's going to go to the home page. So let's just see what happens here. And it should go to that XAMPP page. And it did. Okay, so I'm now accessing this through the internet. Now, normally you would just put the URL to the website behind it. So I'd put /blog after my IP address and I should get there. But that won't work with WordPress because we've given it a specific URL when we installed it. Let me show you here. We gave the URL localhost 81/blog. So it isn't going to work if we try and get to it from the internet. Now this is only WordPress and only because we've given it a specific address. If this was a normal web page, it would just come up. So what we need to do is change this to our IP address without the :81 on it in both of these spots before we can access WordPress on the internet. Okay, so like that. So let's save this. Okay, and as soon as we did that, it's now accessing the admin through the internet. Okay, so if I click here on my blog, you'll see down in the bottom left corner there that it's using my IP address /blog to get here. So this is now coming at us from the internet. Using an IP address to access your site is not a real good idea, and it's awkward to give to people. For instance, if you have a business card, you don't want to be putting on there a string of numbers and a colon and an 80 and a / and stuff like that. That doesn't look very professional. So of course you're going to want to use a domain. Unfortunately, it's very simple to map your install to a domain name. So let's go look at GoDaddy here and just go ahead and register any domain name that you'd like to use. Okay, now I'm using GoDaddy, but any domain registrar works more or less the same. It just might look a little different. So what you want to do once you're in here is go into DNS zone files. Then you're going to want to go find the A record and click the edit button here, edit record. And then you want to put your domain address, and then you want to put your IP address where it says points to. And then you're going to click finish, and that's it. So now what will happen is when somebody clicks that domain name, it will map to your whole site. Now there's one thing you have to do on the WordPress side now. You need to go down to settings and general. So then what you need to do is change this to your domain name where your blog's located. So the domain you bought goes in here, /blog or whatever the address is. Okay, so I've changed that. Save changes. And now all I got to do is key in my site URL here, which is my domain name /blog in my case. And then it will come up using my domain name, and all of the posts will work properly. Everything will look like it's actually hosted there. Okay, so now I'm accessing it from my domain name, and it's pointing to my home computer. So now if I go over here and I click on Hello World, it brings up the URL properly in the browser bar, and yet it's still pointing at my home server. Okay, now let's go look at the recent comments. And you see everything is mapping as it should. Now the only thing that doesn't is when you log in, you'll actually see the IP address up here again, and that's fine. As soon as you exit it, it will go back to your regular site. So you'll see that it's changed to my site ID now, or my site address. So now I'll log in. Okay, and everything will work properly in here. Okay, it's going to post and so on. Everything is working as it should. And you see that it's still pointing at my home IP address. But when we go here and we click on visit site, it goes back to our domain name, and then everything works properly. Okay, so it's seamless to anybody that's coming to visit your site. Okay, and there you have it. That is how you can host your own websites on your own computer using XAMPP and a custom domain name.